So what's in that pot is pooled donor milk with 3 to 5 donors who they've already kind of thawed and strained it through into the pot, and it's underneath the mixer there to help mix the milk well enough so that it's the nutrient contents are evenly distributed as the milk is dispensed into bottles. And then after dispensing into the bottles, Lily here is closer to us. She is sealing the bottles and then testing each one to make sure that it's really sealed. So after the bottles are sealed, then it goes into one of our pasteurizers, either the shaking water baths or the S180 here in front.
And that's those two containers on the left over there?
Yes, the shaking water baths are in the back there. There's 4 of them total on either side. And then this is our newest piece of equipment, the S180. It handles about 3 times as many bottles as each one of those shaking water baths.
Okay, that's the bigger one in front here?
Yes. So the bottles are pasteurized in water, submerged, and using the older pasteurization method. And that is a method where the milk is brought up to the temperature of 62.5 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, the milk is rapidly cooled, and then it's taken out of the machines, it's dried off and labeled, and frozen again. And then 1 bottle from every batch is sent to an external lab for microbial testing. And after 2 days, if it comes back negative for any microbial growth, we go through a final approval process, and then we can dispense it to hospitals and to outpatients. Resulting in probably 6 different batches each. So 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, they're doing this process. We start early in the morning, and they're usually done by mid-afternoon.
Okay.
All of our lab techs are trained in food safety standards and have ServSafe and current good manufacturing practices training.
Is there a certification program that they have to go through?
They're on the wall right next to you,
Oh.
the certificates.
Okay.
And then every milk bank, Himbana Milk Bank, has to have a PCQI, a preventive control quality person, and that's me. And then Jason has lab manager certification.
So this is the room where things are stored?
Yes, this is our prep room, freezer room, our 1 walk-in freezer that holds our sorted raw milk as well as our finished milk.
Yeah, can we take a peek inside?
I think so. He is in there. Get an action shot. There's Anita who's pulling deposits.
Hi.
For our next batch to thaw. Pasteurized, and it's waiting to either be tested or is ready for it. And here is thawing our next batch of milk that's going to be processed and pasteurized in the milk lab. And what she's doing is pulling out the deposits from our donors and putting them out on trays to thaw overnight. And each tray has 1 donor's milk on it, and it's labeled with the appropriate ID so we know whose milk it is. And then they'll be set out on these trays to thaw for about up to 4 hours. After 4 hours, then the milk goes into the refrigerator for any time overnight, and then we can pull it and then pasteurize it the next day.
So whose milk is this?
3014, that is the donor that you just interviewed, whose baby passed away, I guess. So he chose to go through the process of being approved, and because of that, and going through the interview and the blood test, she's able to have her milk used and dispensed to hospitals and home other babies. As part part of our donor approval process, each donor is tested for 5 different communicable diseases. And in order to do that, they need to have their blood drawn. So they are sent a kit that includes all of the vials that are needed to have their blood drawn. They go to this pack or this kit is mailed to them. And then they go to their local laboratory or clinic in their area to have their blood drawn, and then this box is sent to Memorial Blood Center, who we contract with to run the blood tests. So as it's packed up, all the instructions are included for the donor and for the lab, all the tubes and vials that are needed, and then it's sent out through the mail and overnighted after the blood is drawn to the Memorial Blood Center. So when our approved donors drop off their milk at a depot, it is then after being dropped off at a depot, transported to the milk bank in these blue bags. Each blue bag contains one donor's milk and is labeled with their donor ID here, so we know whose milk it is. Each bag then is also labeled when the donors drop them off. This is a very organized donor here, as you can see, with their donor ID as well, and on each bag the milk is dated with the day that they pumped it. That pump date determines the expiration date of the milk. We can run the milk up to, and accept milk up to a year from the date that the baby is born. And once it gets here, then we pool 3 to 5 donors together to even out the nutrient content that we see, a range of anywhere between 14 to 27 calories an ounce. By pooling 3 to 5 donors, that decreases the variability, and it also allows for maximum exposure to all of the great things that are in mother's milk, such as the antibodies that we see. So once that's done, then after this process, the milk is sorted into deposits, about 50 ounces each, and then put into our walk-in freezer on the right side, and then the milk is then pulled from our data system, determined by our lab manager to find out which milk he wants to run, and then processed through our lab and pasteurized.